This is a video for how to go about utilizing the Autoconstrain sketch function in Autodesk Fusion. In order to start a new sketch, we need to utilize the Create Sketch icon. And you'll notice that I have Create Sketch right here in my shortcuts. If by chance you don't see yours here, I can go to Create, and I can go to Create Sketch. It's probably about right in here. So go ahead and click on Create Sketch. And you can see out in our design area, I have my three axes and I have my three planes here that you can see. Now, I like to come over into my browser bar and go into Origin and try to utilize my sketch options from here. And for the sake of the video, we're going to click on the XZ plane, and this turns towards us. Note that now we're seeing the X horizontal and the Z vertical here. We can also see that front right here facing us. Now we're going to create for ourselves a 2-point rectangle to start. And up here I have an icon for 2-point rectangle. Down here where it says rectangle, 2-point rectangle is just the letter R. So you can also just hit the letter R on your keyboard, and we're just going to click for ourselves and create a 2-point rectangle just about this size. Just make sure you have it in the correct location. We want it up top right from our origin right here. I'm going to escape twice on my keyboard. You can also right click and say OK to get out of rectangle. Now one functions I like to scaffold in when I teach a video is just some things out of the modify menu. So we're going to go up to modify, and let's go down to move copy. And when you see move copy, it's going to ask us what object do we want to move and what's your selection. And we want to drag for ourselves a window over our rectangle right here. And that just means I just clicked and held down and dragged over the top. That allows you to select multiple things in Fusion. You'll notice in selection it says 8 selected. That is 4 lines and 4 corners, those 4 points that you see right here. We're going to come down and click on create copy. When we click on create copy, we're going to come out and we're going to hold down on this little square, and we're just going to drag up to the top right. I don't care where you place it, just make sure it's up to the top right. Notice that you can see X distance and Y distance. You could be way more specific with that just in this menu. We have something just kind of called a free move right here. If I'm going to drag this over so we can see it. I have free move, and then there's something called translations and points to points. There's different ways you can place things that you've made a copy of or you just want to move. We'll get into that in another video, but for now we're just going to stay in free move, and we're going to say OK. We'll go back up to modify, and I want you to note that you can also hit the letter M on your keyboard to get into move copy as well for next time. We're going to click on move copy. We're going to highlight our most recent rectangle. We're going to go down to create copy, and we're going to hold down onto our square, and I just want to drag up to the top right, just about here. And we're going to go ahead and say OK. So now what we have, I click on the word front. Should zoom for us a little bit. I can always just use my mouse wheel. We have ourselves, 3 rectangles that are the same size. Notice that they have vertical and horizontal geometric constraint icons right here telling me that they're not at some different angle other than 90 degrees. So what I want to do is I want to auto constrain this, but I don't want to go up to create, and I don't want to have to go down to sketch dimension and place a million dimensions to put these things into place. What can Fusion do for me? Well, Fusion has something known as auto constrain, and if by chance you don't see the auto constrain icon right here, you can go to the constraints pull down bar and see auto constrain. You can also see auto constrain from datum, and auto constrain from data means it'll constrain from a point, or let's say a center point, if you will, from let's say an origin. In this case, we're going to go from the actual origin of the Z and X axis. So we're going to go to auto constrain from datum. And what Fusion is asking me right now is where is the origin point that you want to constrain from, because we said from datum, and we're going to choose right here the origin where you see the red and the green cross. And when I click on that, you're going to see Fusion comes up and starts giving me some options. And you notice that Fusion is using something known as baseline dimensioning here. It is dimensioning right from the Z axis here. We know it's the Z because we can see the Z vertically over here. I can see this placing it, and you might think, you know what, I want to see some other options here. And I can go in, let's take a look at result 1 here if you don't like that. I like result 2 because I like baseline dimensioning, but let's just say that you don't. I can go to generate more here, and they'll give me all other types of options as I scroll through with how they placed everything. So you might say, you know what, I actually want to do this a little bit differently with the way I place things. The choice is completely up to you. In result 1, I'm not a huge fan of that. I told you I'm a fan of baseline dimensioning. We could keep this if we wished. If you wanted to place something different, you can. One thing I like about result 4 that it gave me is I can tell, what if I wanted these two numbers to be the same? Notice that from here up to here, I would like for this to be the same as this, and the distance from this side to here, I want these two numbers to be the same. Just for the sake of the video, we're going to stay in result 4 and just go ahead and say OK. Now, if I want to mess with the placement of this, and I want these to be pretty much in the same spot and the same distances, I'm going to show you some neat things you can do with dimensioning. Now, I hope you can appreciate that auto constrain function did all of this dimensioning for you. In other videos, we've shown you how to go in and click on sketch dimension, which will always have its place, but this just dimensioned everything into place for you. And now you can go in and do some faster editing. Now I see a 1.6010 up here, and this is the exact same distance as this down here, but what if I want this 1.6 to be the same as this 1.49? I'm going to double click on the 1.6 and come down and just click on that 1.4, and you're going to see something that says D1. That means dimension 1 is what that means. And the function up here, this dimension will always do whatever this is. I'm going to go ahead and click enter, and you'll see it shift over a little bit. And you're going to see an FX. That means it will always function as whatever this dimension is. So I see a 1.419. Nice. Next thing, I see a 0.49 down here, and I see a 0.476 up here. If I always want this to be 0.49, I can just double click here, come down and click on 0.49, that's D10, that's just the 10th dimension, and hit enter, and it automatically adjusts for me. I see a 1.2 here and a 1.1 here. If I say I want this to always be that 1.2 dimension, I can click and things are automatically shifting into place. What's nice is since we just copied these, notice that the width is the same, 0.948, all across the board here. Now, if I grab a hold of dimension real quick and I say, what's the distance between here and here? Let's just take a look. As I drag out, I see 0.49. It's the same thing as down here and the same thing as up here. Notice that when I try to place this, it's going to say you over-constrain the sketch. And what Fusion's telling me is you already told me that. Like you're telling me that twice through other methods. That's why it's saying you are over-constraining it. I just go ahead and say cancel out of that. So it looks like this has done a pretty good job of, dimensioning things into place. And I'm just going to say okay. The thing that you should appreciate, I can hit escape twice as well. The thing you should appreciate about this is you barely even used, if at all, the sketch dimension function. Fusion went in and gave you all kinds of options for how it dimensioned it into place. So once we've dimensioned this, let's just say for the sake of discussion, I want to mirror this sketch to the other side of the Z-axis. We can utilize the mirror command, and you can hit create and go down and find mirror in here as well. It should be down this area here. It's right about here. I have mine up here in my shortcuts. I'm going to click on mirror, and I want to highlight all 3 of our squares. And it's going to ask us for a mirror line. Now, what can help us with this is we want that Z-axis. See the Z-axis going up and down here? I can come over and click on Z, and it'll automatically mirror that to the other side. A good way to always know where you're mirroring is just to look at your view cube. I see Z vertically and I see X horizontally. I could have just clicked on X if we were going below. Notice how everything now is perfectly on the other side. I can just say OK. What you will notice now is these are symmetry geometric constraint icons. And basically it means that along this line now, this is a perfect line of symmetry to give us both sides. I'm going to go ahead and say finish sketch. Now if by chance for some reason you wanted to extrude these out, this right here would give you a perfect symmetry along that Z-axis, and that's a way that you could utilize this function. So within Fusion, you can have Fusion give you all kinds of options for how you want it to dimension and constrain your sketches, and you don't have to go through and do all of them. Now I will tell you that this is not 100% perfect. This is not something you would necessarily want to utilize every single time with every single sketch, but in some basic sketches and some maybe some other concepts from there, this is very, very helpful. Even in some advanced things, everything is on a case-by-case basis with what works for you and what your sketch needs. So this has been a video for how to go about utilizing the Auto-Constrain sketch feature in Autodesk Fusion.